But I just wanted to talk that the Black Worker Center has been doing work around analyzing what's happening with Black people in this region. And we did a report a couple years ago that showed poverty was at least twice the rate of white poverty, Black poverty was twice the rate. And that's kind of the same statistic as 1970s. Unemployment for Black women was 3 times the rate of white women. Unemployment for Black men was 2 times the rate of white men. And that's been consistent over the decades as well. So part of the question that comes up for us as Black Worker Center and for us as Black people is how come nothing's getting better? Things are either staying the same or getting worse in almost every respect, particularly for Black people, but for all people. And it caused us to really kind of aim towards what the root cause of the problems we face is, to take a more radical approach and to understand that there's a larger system of capitalism that has us locked in such a way that all the work we do, good work that we do in our nonprofits and other agencies, all the work that we've done over time has not allowed our people to really move ahead. There's a very small group, they called it the 1% a few years back. There's a small group that benefits all the time, but the vast majority of people of all nationalities are really not making the headway that we need to make. So it became important for us as the Black Worker Center to start to think about that bigger picture and how we wrestle around it. And one of the issues that came up is in the Pittsburgh area, there weren't many Black people who were dealing with socialism directly. So one of the things we did in the Black Worker Center is we assembled some folks as a Black socialist study group to study the relationship of socialism to African people all over the world. And it led us to study a number of different theories, ideologies, and organizations that have been a part of the struggle for radical change and radical progress over time. So here, the Black Socialist Study Group, we see ourselves as part of a broader movement all over the country and actually all over the world, where people are still really starting to look at the root cause of the problems we face and develop a vision for the future that we're trying to create. And that's really what this project is about. We're mainly a study group, but we're looking forward to the possibility of being an active group. So people might see the group out and about. Right now, we're not public in that way, and we're still discussing whether we're going to do that or not and how to do that. But basically, we've studied a lot of different things, Pan-Africanism, nationalism, socialism, cultural nationalism, revolutionary nationalism, Black feminism, and the intersection of all those different theoretical constructs that have been used by our people to fight to be free. And we really have to continue that fight to be free. And each generation has to step up to renew that struggle that's been carried out by a lot of other folks. But I'd like to welcome you all here to our learning circle, where we hope to learn and more on how we can be more effective as international global freedom fighters that are really trying to change what happens for the majority of our families and us in the world. My name is Carl Redwood. I live up the street on Center Avenue. Why don't we go around and introduce ourselves real quick?
My name is Springs or Brandon. You can call me either one. I use he, him pronouns, and I live over in East Liberty right now.
My name is Claire Cohen, I'm she, her, and I live in Highland Park, not far from him though.
My name is Jasmine, or Jazz. I have used she, her pronoun. I actually live with him and he's with me.
Justin, he, him, pronouns, I live in Brookline.
Shay, she, her, also live in Brookline.
I'm Mercedes, she, her. The hill raised me, but I'm in the hills.
Amos, I live in Churchill. Green, born and raised in the Hill, but currently live in Homewood. I'm a PBM. And, I'm a retired social worker, but I'm not a retired musician.
I'm Lizzie, she, her, Felicia.
I'm Jay Walker, he, him, I live on Shadeside.
I'm Ella, I live in Fuller.
I'm Carol, Hill District.
I'm Kate, she, her, Wilkinsburg.
I'm Michael Zale, I usually live I live in Lincoln.
Welcome everyone, look forward to a good discussion, we're moving to agreements.
One thing, the Pittsburgh Black Worker Center is also a member of the Black Alliance for Peace. And so this project here, the Hands Off Haiti, you're gonna see us going through the Black Alliance for Peace framework. Just appreciate the whole ground they've offered us, because we're gonna be able to just go right off of that.
Right.
Okay, thanks everybody for being here. We just have a couple of community agreements so that we can have a really positive conversation and have some joy in it and learn from each other. So I'm just gonna go through those. If there's folks that wanna add anything, or if there's anything you wanna give feedback on, feel free, but I'll just go through them quickly. One diva, one mic. Let's just all speak one at a time so we can all hear each other, and give each other space to speak. No one knows everything. Together we know a lot. Move up, move up. So if you find yourself, not speaking as much, move up. And if you find yourself maybe not listening as much, move up and you're listening as well. And we can't be articulate all the time, right? So allow yourself to speak in draft, allow others to speak in draft, and help let us form our ideas, and give folks space to share those ideas. Be aware of time. So we are here today and we'll continue this conversation as long as it takes. And you know, the free Haiti and the free us all, but for the short period of time, let's be mindful of our airtime. Embrace curiosity. Acknowledge the difference between intent and impact. So your intention may be, you know, positive, but maybe something you might say or something you might do, the way it lands for someone might be a challenge. So, and if they communicate that to you, we can make space to hold that and discuss it. Please don't speechify. So think about the fact that everybody here has opinions, perspectives that they might want to share. So we're not here necessarily to do monologues, but to be in dialogue with each other. And really respect confidentiality if there's something that comes up that is private, respect that. So what's said here can stay here, but what's learned here can leave here. And is there anything, I did kind of go lightning bolt. Is there anything folks do you feel good about this for our conversation? Is there anything anyone would add or we're good?
I will ask, speak up.
Okay, like, oh yeah, project your voice, okay? I'll add that. So we also have people that we're recording for. Cool.
That's good, cool. And so you can see the agenda up here on the wall. With your welcome and intro, the doing agreements, and then you that up there, if you're wondering where we are, you can kind of follow along. Right now, we're gonna kick it to Dr. Cohen.
Okay, so, I'm just gonna say a little bit about Black Alliance for Peace, and I'm gonna make a short video. So the Black Alliance for Peace, also known as BAP, BAP, seeks to recapture and redevelop the historic anti-war, anti-imperialist, and pro-peace positions of the radical Black movement. Through educational activities, organizing, and movement support, organizations and individuals in the Alliance will work to oppose both militarized domestic state repression and the policies of destabilization, subversion, and the permanent war agenda of the U.S. state globally. And I see a little squinting. In other words, we're connecting the militarized police with the militarized U.S. foreign policy. Okay, so we have a video. It's a short 4-minute video made about 3 years ago that basically gives a good description of Black Alliance for Peace.
That's
I don't think I got the right thing here.
Go above
That's
it.
out.
You see the one right there on the right?
Right above it,
The one above it,
the
that's,
Asada.
Right here.
No.
no, the one below, it's a woman,
There you go.
that's
There
it.
you go.
The police, the prison system, the law.
That's the South.
It's no secret that these
South.
institutions intentionally crush and terrorize Black and oppressed people.
Yeah, it is.
Go back,
It's the wrong one.
it's the one with Asada on it.
It's all the side. There we go.
Good break from everybody, thank you.
The police, the prison system, the law.
No, this is the South one video.
It's no secret that these institutions intentionally crush and terrorize Black and oppressed people within the U.S. But the brutal violence of the U.S. military colonized.
There you go. It's there at the bottom.
Good minute.
That-
It just went to the next slide. Oh, maybe no. The video or
The
something.
prison system, the law.
So, okay.
Oh, she can't.
Can you like delete the second one? It's like it's playing in sequence.
Yeah.
Maybe click on hands off Hades.
Yeah, I can't drive.
I think it's the YouTube.
To the one before.
Just go to,
Oh, it's saying no stop time.
yeah, let's just do it slightly analog.
EAC. Here we go. Here we go. There it is, yeah, that's it. That's it.
Europeans committed genocide against native peoples and stole their land, all while kidnapping and enslaving native and African people to turn a profit. Now, over 400 years later, the United States is a massive empire. It has 800 military bases and at least a dozen colonies scattered across the globe. Ever since its founding, the US has always been at war, and it's the only country in history to use nuclear weapons against people. At this very moment, the US is engaged in at least 7 wars of occupation and regime change. The mission? To ensure US businesses have access to land, resources, and cheap or slave labor. But the 1% also wages war against Black and colonized people in the US, just as they've done from the start. Police continue to murder, brutalize, and surveil Black people. Our communities are impoverished, starved of resources, and thrown in jail. All the while, police departments become more and more like occupying armies. And the military budget, well, it just keeps getting bigger. The Black Alliance for Peace was launched in 2017.
The Black Alliance for Peace, as an organization, committed to revitalizing the traditional anti-war positions of the Black community.
The United States is the worst abuser of human rights in the world. If you look at the invasions, the proxy wars, the sanctions.
The powers that be are seeing a threat to the status quo.
It does not matter whether the United States government agrees with Maduro and his policies, because 6 million Venezuelans wanted him to lead them. As a sovereign people, they have a right to determine their own direction and future.
Everyone has a place in this movement. We must be organized. If we want peace, we have to be willing to fight for it.
Our campaign is no compromise, no retreat. Defeat the war on African Black people in the US and abroad. The campaign includes the demands to end police militarization, stop their training by the Israeli Defense Force, shut down AFRICOM, remove all US military presence from Africa, defund the military, and close the 800 military bases around the world. Black people have always been the consciousness and change agents within this brutal regime. Now can be no different. We are in the heart of the empire, and we must remember our fight for liberation is connected to the liberation of Black, brown, and working class people everywhere. It is time for us to stand up to oppose US war and murder and defeat the US, EU, NATO axis of domination. That is why the Black Alliance for Peace was founded. And that is why we need you.
I guess we can move on now to the one item on the agenda here. That video again was just a little more of a visualization of the FAPS mission that Dr. Cohen shared for us a little earlier. We thought before we got into some of the collective learning and studying we're going to get into today, real quick, it'd be cool to just have a discussion about what we know in this room right now about Haiti, and specifically, especially its relationship with the West, its relationship with the United States in particular. So that's an open question. We can start from anywhere. Any amount of knowledge or experience is cool.
So the question you're asking, Franz, right, is like, what do we know here about the relationship between Haiti and the West?
Yeah.
Okay, so we can all just offer our own ideas, what we know about that?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
I know, Haiti had a big presence in the Hill District. I don't know the years or nothing like that, but I know there was a lot of Haiti roots right here.
Because the hill was called Little Haiti, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And ironically, we did a project, called Little Haiti Cooperative for the store. And, you know, we were just locked out the system. It was just really, really crazy, but nevertheless, we were doing it in honor of that. And also, to also give us an opportunity for us to own something ourselves. And we were just locked off of the whole presentation with the URA, like technical issues, like some of us was in the waiting room the whole time, like the ones that was going to present. So we talked about that like 2 weeks ago. Like a lot of people were saying, we really liked y'all presentation, but it just seemed so intentional, right? But we don't know. But anyway, we wanted to have the store called Little Haiti Cooperative, the People's Market. Port Sadie's looking like, oh my gosh, yeah.
Sure, you got a copy?
Yeah, Dr. Cohen,
I know a lot, but I'm just gonna say one thing that I bet a lot of people don't know. Take these glasses off. A lot of people don't realize that part of why Haiti is so poor. We talk about reparations. And when Haiti was the first slave colony that got their freedom, the white European countries made Haiti pay reparations to the French.
Yeah.
And they made them pay so much money that they just got finished paying it. What was it? Not too long ago. So they paid that. They paid $40 billion to France. Right. And the US was like, if you don't do it, we're gonna use our military.
Yeah.
Just to piggyback on that, because my first awareness of Haiti came from understanding that Haiti was the first colony to overthrow slavery. And it seems like historically, since that time, they've been targeted for that. I mean, everybody came after them for that, with the reparations and everything else. And the whole colonialist mindset was jumped on Haiti and has stayed on them. For being the first African source to openly and directly overthrow the slavery. Okay. So, it just feels like, they've been singled out. I mean, not totally singled out, but I mean, there's been a target on their back ever since they overthrew slavery. Just those things like to me.
Thanks for that. Yeah. Can you jump over here?
After the revolution, those who had enslaved Africans in this country and beyond were frightened. And, that's when they put up a lot of barriers for freedom. And that there were inspirations for rebellions here too.
I was just gonna say, I think that news would travel through the black newspapers about the revolution, and that was one of the things that they tried to like keep away from black people, because they didn't want other black people getting inspired by because it was very funny.
Yeah, I'll just add that, on Dr. Cohen's point, that some people, link the, overthrow. We're gonna talk a bit about this group called the core group. And there's a piece of paper here that explains the core group, but it's basically the group that's occupying Haiti now. So it's 9 different, countries / entities, the US, Canada, France, Spain, the UN, the, Organization of American States, and a couple of others that have been occupying Haiti since 2004 and basically deciding Haiti's big picture. But people point to Aristide saying he wanted all the money back as the reason that he was then overthrown. So Aristide was like, I want all those reparations back so that Haiti could have a chance to rebuild its economy off of all what had been stolen from it. And that's when Aristide, so we'll make a link to those 2 things. He was overthrown in 2004.
We'll jump to Ms. Ray.
One other thing, Haiti's on the island with Dominican Republic, and there's extreme racism or prejudice against Haitian people by the Dominican Republic government. And it's that's a whole nother tension that goes on that island.
And they've experienced ethnic cleansing as well. Because of that proximity to wanting to be more, close to whiteness, and there's definitely been, brutality.
And to know that a lot of people go to the Dominican Republic for vacation and don't know how they oppress the Haitians because of color. And because of that discrimination, then Haiti is the poor island and Dominican Republic gets the resources.
Anyone else got anything on with all?
Yeah, one more recent point, I remember in the 80s, I lived in the South, and when a lot of Haitians were fleeing like Marcos, and they were coming to the United States, and they were immediately sent back to the worst torture and worst crimes. And at the same time, when the Cubans were leaving Cuba, they were welcomed in. There was this huge, I don't know about in the North, but in Florida, I was in Georgia, it was, it was big. I mean, it was something we could really see, and that was in the 80s. It went on for a while. But to the absolute worst torture that you can conceive of that they faced. So the discrimination just never ended. It's just constant.
So I don't know which one I saw first.
What if we're gonna say the same thing? This is very drafty, so help me out here with the details, but after the earthquake in 2012, right? Haitians were offered a certain kind of protected immigration status in the US that was revoked not that long ago, correct? Like, and there was a lot of protest and movement towards being able to keep people here. And I don't know how that actually ended. So that's the question if people know any more about that.
It hasn't ended, in fact, Biden has continued to, it's not working, proper coaching, organization that informative, these are the cases that were applied, but we can steadily, important.
Thanks for filling that in.
You can jump over here.
I was just gonna share, I saw a documentary about the sugar plantations on that whole region and how there was, this pattern of sort of trapping, like the Dominican plantations would, the Haitians would, you know, try to immigrate through the Dominican Republic, and they would steal their passports and stuff, and then force them to work on the sugar plantations.
Just one other, maybe someone who can build out this a little bit further, is that, I know, Papa Doc Duvalier, who was, you know, put in Haiti, you know, by the US and the West, and was horrible with the torture and the repression. He was actually a supporter of Israel and vice versa. This is in the sixties and such. And then I don't know Baby Doc though, whether he was one who continued that. So I was just curious if anyone knew. I know Papa Doc Duvalier, who died in 1971 and was a very violent, again, dictator of Haiti that was put in by the US, and he had a relationship with Israel, but Baby Doc followed. I don't know. I was curious if anyone did know that.
I said Marcos, but it's divided.
Yeah.
Adopted.
Well, you're thinking of Philippines,
Yeah. It's divided.
I guess when you were saying just the relationship with Israel too, that the richest man in Haiti, Gilbert Bigio, is a billionaire. And he's like an honorary consul of Israel as well, and has been, you know, he's just been called out and also held to account in some way.
You speak up,
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. I was just saying, when Justin was mentioning the relationship with Israel, I was saying one thing I learned recently too was the richest man in Haiti. He's a billionaire. He's Israeli and he's honorary he has an honorary consul of Israel. And so there's just other layer of the relationship between Haiti and Israel, but also like the oppression of people and the arms trade as well. And you know, how they're talking about all this violence that's happening. And it's, you know, it's not an accident, you know, and his relationship with facilitating that as well, being a part of it.
Thank you for that. Appreciate that. I have one more little tidbit, and I think maybe we can move on to the next thing here, but, I think something that I learned, was Sam Iba, and, back, I believe in the early to mid sixties, there was something called the Biafran War, where, the Igbos and the general people in the southeast of Nigeria was, you know, modern day Nigeria wanted to secede from Nigeria. Because of genocides that were going on against Igbo people and the people of the South, the Southeast particularly. And a fun fact I know about Haiti is Haiti was one of the few only nations that openly spoke up in support of Biafra when that was happening back in the sixties. I learned that in some book I read. I was something about Haiti.
And a lot of Haitians are descendants of people from Benin. As well. A lot of many Haitians are descendants of the people of Benin as well, just as you.
Thanks everyone for your all friends here. It's clear that between all of us, we know quite a bit, nice little healthy amount about Haiti. And we're gonna learn more, especially about specifically Haiti's relationship to the West and the US and the current situation going on in Haiti. I'm gonna pass it off to Dr. Zayla, who's passing around what we're gonna read for the next part.
Thank you.
You're welcome. No. So we are gonna do, this is a community collective learning, so as we said, no one knows everything, but together we know a lot. And we just wanted to take an opportunity to read, and take in some information, so we could all, become more informed, and I'll let you get settled. Sure. And so we were hoping that, we would.
All right, sorry, y'all.
Feeling good? Let's get back settled. We were hoping, just because we want to really, be present with our collective knowledge and the wisdom that everyone brings into the room. We also want to learn collectively together. And we were hoping that we could read this resource that the Black Alliance for Peace has shared with us. And we were hoping that we could each take just one of the paragraphs to start go around the room. I'm happy to start off, and then if folks could just jump in and take a paragraph until we're done, and then we'll have a little bit of conversation after that. Okay? Haiti has been a focal point of Pan-African liberation and anti-colonial struggle since the nation erupted in revolt against slavery in 1791. Cemented its liberatory and revolutionary character through adoption of a new flag in 1803 and proclaimed independence in 1804. Beyond internal revolutionary character and representation of a liberated Black republic, the region as a whole would not have decolonized without the liberation of Haiti. It is not irony, but the historic dialectic of the European colonial project that Haiti, the first contact point of Cristobal Colon, had began the invasion and conquest of what became the Americas region, is now a central point of European colonial exclusion, led by the US to maintain white power in Haiti and beyond.
In 1915, Haitian President Theodore Gillard, somebody help me? No. Sam was murdered, dragged out of the French litigation and killed in the street. After he had imprisoned and then killed a number of his political opponents, fearing political chaos. Right, y'all?
Yeah.
And with a desire to protect U.S. interests, persons, and property, the United States landed 300 troops on July 28, 1915, initiating a 19-year military occupation.
Thank you.
With the 1915 intervention, Wall Street consolidated their near monopoly control of Haiti's finances, banking, and industry. During the occupation, the United States rewrote the Haitian Constitution and installed a puppet president, imposed press censorship and martial law, and brought Jim Crow policies and forced labor to the island. It also initiated a pacification campaign against those Haitian militants engaged in armed struggle to protect the republic's sovereignty. The US military, for the first time, used aerial bombs and burned villages, tortured and murdered thousands of peasants, and hunted rebel bandits, quote bandits, for sport.
Understanding aims of the occupation was building infrastructure, expanding education, and providing internal and regional stability. Little was achieved. The result of the U.S. occupation was the establishment and training of the local police force and the years after the occupation, this police force was used to terrorize the prison pieces. troops withdrew in 1934 after a sustained period of protest, which Haitian students began in 1929. Eventually, all classes of Haitians and Haitian allies in the international community joined the cause.
The second occupation of Haiti began in 2004 and was initiated after a coup d'etat sponsored by the United States, France, and Canada that dethroned elected Haitian president Jean-Bertrand Aristide. Aristide was kidnapped by U.S. Marines and sent to the Central African Republic.
The 2004 illegal coup d'etat was both enforced and cleaned up with the sanctions of the United Nations. The UN took over from U.S. forces and established the United Nations Stabilization Mission in Haiti, or MINUSTA, for the task of military occupation under the guise of establishing peace and security.
A multi-billion-dollar operation, MINUSTA had at any given time between 6,000 and 12,000 military troops and police stationed in Haiti, alongside thousands of civilian personnel. Like the first U.S. occupation, the UN occupation under MINUSTA was marked by its brutality towards the Haitian people. Civilians were brutally attacked and assassinated. Peacekeepers, quote unquote, committed sexual crimes. UN soldiers dumped human waste into rivers used for drinking water, unleashing a cholera epidemic that killed between 10,000 and 50,000 people.
Wow.
While it is claimed that this occupation officially ended in 2017 with the dissolution of the MINUSTA, the UN has remained in Haiti through a new acronym, BINU, the United Nations Integrated Office in Haiti. BINU has had an outsized role in Haitian internal political affairs. This is exactly what happened when a new Haitian government was announced on July 20th, 2021, with Ariel Henry as leader. This without any say from the Haitian people. The decisions were all made by the core group, an unelected council consisting of the diplomats of foreign countries, the political and economic interests in Haiti, combined with the representatives of a number of multilateral organizations and agencies.
Last 2 years, these imperialist forces have been pushing further armed intervention into Haiti to forcefully uphold the illegitimate quote unquote government they have installed to maintain their control. The U.S., UN, BINUA, and core group have been desperately searching for any multilateral institution, the UN Security Council, Caribbean Community, CARICOM, the Community of Latin America and the Caribbean states, and others to lead these interventions to justify a violent rejection of the sovereignty of the Haitian people.
The core group and BINU's continued occupation of Haiti and a de facto regime that they keep in power are incapable of ensuring health care, food, security, and access to basic needs. We are told that the interest of the U.S. is humanitarian, that it wants to protect the Haitian people from gang violence. Yet no mention has been made of the Haitian people's constant call for the disbanding of the core group, for an arms embargo against the Haitian and the U.S. elite who import guns into the country, for the end of support for Haiti's installed puppet government, and for the deep financial crisis placed on the people by the IMF-led move to remove fuel subsidies. There are no calls to build either hospitals or schools. However, BINA and the core group cooperate well with the oligarchs, especially those that establish monopolistic domination.
The ongoing occupation of Haiti and calls for increased foreign military presence in Haiti have been justified as the only solution to political or economic crisis. Yet the true ongoing crisis in Haiti is the crisis of imperialism. The country's economic and social situation has reached a critical stage, allowing for increased political instability.
Alliance for Peace, you say BAP or BAP? BAP, and member organization in Haiti, MOGAP, which is French, but also the Movement for Liberty and Equality of Haitians for Fraternity, are part of an effort to activate the popular movement in our region in support of the community of Latin American and Caribbean states, CELAC. 2014 call to make the Americas region a zone of peace. Making Haiti a zone of peace requires the disbanding of the core group, the removal of the VINA office from Haiti, the end of U.S. meddling, and reestablishing the sovereign rights of the Haitian people.
And, fact sheet, the core group fact sheet is up here, if you want, back here, that's in
So thank you all so much for reading that. We were hoping that we could get just a few just initial responses, after having taken in that information. The things that immediately come to mind, you know, if you've been following the beginning of our conversation about, you know, some of the foundations that we know about music.
My name is Annette. Didn't they just have in Haiti, just had some kind of national disaster? Another one? Did they just have some? Anybody know about that?
I feel like.
None, the last couple of years, maybe they had a national disaster, earthquake, something.
I want to say I
Anybody hear about
remember it, but I can't place it right now, but I want to say I remember when it was.
It was two. So this is the second one that was in the last 2 or 3 years, Drew. Anybody know about that? So if, you know, because the United States, we always send the troops over to help rebuild and stuff like that. I don't think that really, I swear, I don't think it's our business of what they doing over there politically. Because their laws ain't our laws. Our laws, we can't force our laws on them. So my, I guess I can say opinion, is that why don't, okay, it's this meeting about like helping the citizens, the innocent people, right? Without the political part.
Well, and this is a collective process. I'm just gonna say something, but I would encourage everybody
I don't know.
to share. So this meeting, no, we collectively, so welcome. Also.
Thank you.
So this conversation is really about a space that we can create to co-learn about what's happening in Haiti right now, because there's a lot of different things. There are environmental issues happening, environmental disasters, but there's also political disaster, and a lot of it is happening because of foreign and military intervention. So what we're talking about is how can we learn about sort of the roots of why Haiti is in this position, and thinking about the United States relationship to Haiti and our, you know, our meddling, our occupation, as we were talking about in this piece. And so this conversation is thinking about how do we, as people who care about Black people around the world and care about how the United States uses its resources to actually harm Black people here as well as around the world, particularly in Haiti. What can we do as people who are active in organizations and in community to think about strategies with people across this country? Black Alliance for Peace is national and international. And so one of the tools that we're learning about is this campaign for the zone of peace, right? To think about the Americas, the whole Northern America, South America, Central America, that becoming a zone of peace where we have a commitment to challenging, you know, military occupation, police brutality, and all these various interventions. And that's what we're thinking about, is how do we become active as community members, thinking nationally, locally, nationally, and internationally about how we support those campaigns, how we educate ourselves, and help each other learn, because as we'll see in some other resources that we're gonna share, you know, there's a lot that is kept from us that allows our government to behave in ways that we don't believe in necessarily. So this is about us learning together, and I think some people share your opinion. But would anybody else want to offer? Yeah, and I see frames and Maria.
Yeah, I'll jump in real quick, and I appreciate the synopsis very much, and I think, the question you asked, like, or the point you made, the opinion you stated, which is that we should mind our own, but we shouldn't be minding Haiti's politics. I think that's kind of what this piece was getting at, especially, you know, and the idea that, I mean, and to be honest, right, it's not any of us in this room that are making decisions about Haiti's politics, but, powerful people in this, that run this nation are the same powerful people who have interests, capitalistic interests in Haiti and keeping control over Haiti. And I think that's what makes that point and that question so poignant, because it should be kind of common sense that, you know, the US is the US. Why is the US so interested in being involved in making so many decisions about the government of Haiti, Haitian democracy and whatnot? And I think what this piece is trying to highlight for us is that is the reason, is because the US has money to be made in Haiti off of the Haitian people.
What are we, okay, I don't really know. What are we getting from Haiti? Do they got some oil that we need? Where do we get resources? What kind of resources? I mean,
Things
what?
like-
If
things like-
it's a-
things like-
listen, if it's a poor country.
Things like uridium.
Excuse me?
Uridium.
What is that?
I'm getting ready to tell you.
Okay.
Uridium is an element that is used in the space program. Very vital. The UN has a force down in Haiti now, gathering as much of this uridium as they can. It's a resource. You asked about oil is probably another one. Okay. There is money to be made there. It is not being made by the Haitian people.
Right.
The Haitian
And they're
people are not benefiting. That's
from-
the point. That's the point that I think needs to be made here.
And they're not benefiting from the profits that we give them, like, you know, you just said, there's something we're giving them and they're giving us, but the people ain't, the people ain't getting so.
This reading was kind of structuring.
One diva, one mic, one mic.
The United States has been instrumental in implementing public policy.
Hold on,
Real quick.
I'm sorry.
No, okay, we are here, we are in a community, we have some agreement. We don't want to talk over each other. You want to finish your point, and then you can finish your point, and then we can come back.
No, I was just saying that if this is the case, what are we getting? We're getting uranium, what?
Iridium.
That word, for the spaceships. So they're not giving the people's not getting better by the resources that we supposed to be providing on account of what they're giving us the stuff, you know. So the people is not, and so what are we gonna do as a whole in our little meetings and groups? Where are we going from here?
So we have some space in this conversation to talk about that.
Okay.
As a part of our strategy.
Okay.
And so the point that you're making is that the relationship is extractive, for sure.
Okay.
The US is extracting from Haiti. The US has stolen money, there's real money from it. So we'll learn more about that too. So just to give you a little bit of what are they getting. So brother, I want you to share and then we can. Pass it to you.
Well, I was just kind of wanting to.
Yeah.
Conclude that what we were hearing from this reading is that the US in its policy came to implement public policy for other countries. That's what, so when we're talking about not wanting to interfere in their laws, this is, a lot of those laws are inspired by US institutions, okay? So, you know, to think that we're coming in as the savior all the time, when at the same time we're the perpetrators, okay? Underneath all of that is part of the ruse, that's part of the propaganda, that's part of the misleading information that we're generally fed, okay? The rest of the world is generally fed that piece, versus the fact that, the Haitian people can't take care of themselves. They can't govern themselves, they're just not capable. And that kind of gets me back to something that Tony Carmichael was saying, about when you have an analyst, and when you analyze an oppressive situation, you do not include the contributions of your oppressor, you will end up with an inaccurate assessment. What usually happens after that is you can freely say, well, these people can't take care of themselves and vote that. And that's what generally happens historically over time. That's what's being said about the Haitian people right now. They can't govern themselves.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank
I
you.
think Sister Rena had.
But you wanted, so this is on that same.
I'll follow up. First of all, thank you for your question. So I just learned there was a 7.1 earthquake in 2021 and 2,000, more than 2,000 people died there. So that's one. And then the issue of the iridium that's there, which I just learned, so thank you for that. That's also another place, it's used, here, one of the things that they mentioned in the internet machine is that it's for platinum. So it can be used in some of this jewelry. So some of the platinum jewelry that we value is probably got a piece of that. And Haiti also has though bauxite. And so a lot of the Caribbean islands have bauxite, which matters a lot to Pittsburgh because bauxite is what they use in aluminum. So one of the things I think that is interesting is not and problematic and all the rest of it is Alcoa, right? That's built on bauxite. So the Caribbean and then West Africa has done a lot of aluminum. So some of these planes that are out here and is making war is actually taking it from the bauxite at one point running through Pittsburgh. And then what we see in these wars, whether they're in Israel right now, those planes that are being sold are Haiti's in the mix of that most likely because it's got bauxite. But one last thing I'll say about Haiti is what I just learned recently is the Clintons were involved in trying to get a garment factory in Haiti in 2009, 2010. And so that was to make clothes at very cheap labor. And they got it going on the promise they would get 60,000 jobs in Haiti. 6 years later, they had 5,000 jobs. So another thing it has there is the land and the property to then set up shops that then will ship clothes out. And so that's another Haiti thing. Yeah.
And it will help the community.
So it won't help them, it's gonna help.
One community a deal.
They'll exploit them.
Oh.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So we have Marina, Mercedes, and we have, Claire and Carl.
So from this piece and from the conversation, we see a connection. We see a connection of other European countries to exploit particularly Black people. I wonder if we make the connection of the perception of the Haitians of being gangs and being unable to take care of themselves as we do with what's happening in our neighborhoods. Because in our neighborhoods, we talk about this drug epidemic that is just constant, where we are killing each other and so forth, but there's a connection there. I also had heard, I read, and it was maybe the second president after Aristide said that the United States had removed him. I think he's the one that just disappeared, I'm not sure. But because he did not allow Haiti to be a dropping point for drugs, right? So all of this is connected. And I know you said that you were going to get to it, but I think that the main thing is for us to always understand our role in re-educating the people and making that connection always. And, like Haiti is not over there, and the United States is not this boogeyman, but the United States is actually affecting us from the time that we've been here. And so Haiti there's a connection there, that we are all being exploited. And we need to look at that in our defense as the aggressors have these connections all the time, you know?
My comment was essentially kind of the same, it's just that looking at the same rhetoric that they use and how it's been used on us as well, and to continue to highlight the mistreatment and the things that are going on, because in today's age, you know, we have media, we have control, some aspects of control on media, and highlighting this can stop future things from happening in other countries and on other oppressed or repressed people. So it's important that we take note so that we can stop falling victim to their same game, like they're coming in with peace and solutions, knowing that they're really coming in disguising, you know, habit.
Thank you.
Um,
So, yeah, Claire, Brother Carl, and then
And I think Princeton was an example of the same thing. Some people my age, and maybe people younger, never were really of our age if we made things for textile mills in the southern states, which was mostly black people and brown people working.
Right.
And many of those mills were shut down when
Right.
people started advocating for better wages.
Right.
And they were moved to countries like Haiti.
Right.
And the example that when Johnson was talking about the textile mill, the Clintons were trying to open, they wanted to pay the workers $1 a day. And I think when the Haitians started advocating for better wages, that's when the Clintons helped overthrow Aristide, because these people were fighting for increased wages. So you can see the connection here.
Right.
People here fight for increased wages,
Right.
so they move to
Right.
Haiti,
Right.
and then they try to get.
Yes,
more wages,
right.
and then they-
And they never approved the conditions either, you know?
Carl,
Yeah, a couple things. The main use of platinum is in catalytic converters in the cars outside. So that's a big use for platinum. It used to be that all the baseballs that the baseball league used were made in Haiti. But the main point I want to make is in places like Haiti, we have over 80% of the young people without work. A whole dynamic starts to develop where people organize in different ways. And that's true in many countries around the world. It's true here too, but we're not to that 80% level. But the organization of young people, like that gang thing, they call some of it, but there's other levels of organization of young people who don't have work, don't have jobs that take place in Haiti, just like in South Africa and other places. The other key thing is there is an elite in Haiti. But the vast majority of people are working class poor folks. But there is an elite in Haiti that also can benefit from Western and US and other interference.
So you don't know,
okay. I guess that's why I started the way I started, that Haiti was right here. And it always makes me think, what happened? Why aren't they here anymore? And of course, you know, I know, for a fact that United States, they built empires, right? And everything that everybody says. But it always makes me think, what happened to little Haiti here? What I know there, what I hear in the news, or what I may not even really know, what happened right here, like you were saying. What you were saying, everything that happens there is what's happening to us here right now.
It wasn't that there were these Haitians, it was called Little Haiti
Yeah.
because it was a black community and Haiti was a sense of pride. So,
No, we
there
learned
were black people that we.
Sorry,
that was connected.
I took an Africana class and we learned that it was mostly all Haitians there, right? And we don't really know those things, I don't know, but I'm just thinking about like how we have always been the target, black people overall, regardless of Haiti here, Haiti there, you know, how we just always have to be going through it. because of white privilege, racism, and all those things that build empires and, you know, oppression, basically. That's all I was saying. Thank you.
I was just double checking, and looking up little Haiti stuff, that's all. And then we're gonna wrap this up.
Okay, but it just, I wanted to relate something to, I was hearing around previously, I think it's like one of the reasons why, the government now is so focused on banning TikTok. Like, I think, one of the reasons why they're so focused on, not like fully focused, but focused on banning TikTok as a means to try to like disconnect the younger generation from other people around the world, and like even in our own country, just like because young people watch TikTok all the time, all day, all the time. So like to cut off that resource for us, I think is one of the ways that they're trying to continue to disconnect us just as they have like previously.
Thank you. Okay, Justin?
That's kind of one of the things too, because this being the Pittsburgh Black Socialist Study Group is trying to link these things to capitalism, right? So obviously, they want Haiti for its markets and to be able to, you know, get up the land, use cheap labor. And one thing I think that is in these pieces here is this idea of neo-colonialism, so that colonialism continues, but with blackface sometimes. And one of the things that Obama did actually was went down there and they were fighting for increased minimum wage, and he went down there to stop that. So we've actually had even Black leadership here go down there to suppress their worker struggles there and there.
Thank you for sharing that. I want to check in with you.
Yeah, we're gonna move on to the next thing. Yeah. Well, let's take one more comment or two.
Yeah, two, yeah.
Would you talk about TikTok? It reminded me of what I learned about games, since that I think all the games like have come together, and then the main person, I think his name is Barbecue. And that like he's working with the United States and the UN, and then there was something else about the prime minister. I think he like stepped down, but I only learned that through just watching TikTok.
Yeah, it's an information channel.
Just one other quick point, which is a political, I think the US can't let any part of the Western Hemisphere go, no matter what the country is. And I think that since the Roosevelt Corollary, the Monroe Doctrine, the attitude is that all of Latin and Central America belongs to the US imperialists, no matter, like, look what happened to El Salvador, look at Nicaragua, like, look at these countries. And the one that stood up to them for so long was the Cuban Revolution. But I think any political action, revolutionary action in Haiti is going to inspire all these other countries. So that's the other side to this, regardless of, the resources are important, but if Haiti gets what it needs, that's an inspiration to every country in the region. And I think that's why the US will fight so hard, and why we have to, this is fantastic conversation,
That's excellent, segue for Brother Carl.
I just wanted to mention the whole thing around the world, French-speaking Africans have been rising up just recently. And I think there's an aspect of that relates to Haiti right now, but not exactly the same, but like Senegal recently, and all the other countries that were at ECOWAS are starting to break away from the US. And that's, it's a global movement. Africans are everywhere, and French-speaking Africans, English-speaking Africans, Spanish-speaking Africans. There's another aspect of connection happening.
Thank you. So I think this is a great segue point to what we are gonna open next, which is what is Southcom?
Yep.
Speaking about all of the pieces that were just brought up.
Yeah, so let's just say a word about this. And one of the reasons that BAP really asked us to learn about Haiti is that it's like this should be a major focus of Black people, but people period, but Black people particularly, because Haiti was the one that kicked off so much, and it should not be forgotten what Haiti has done. And that's an important part of our political awareness, is that we're very aware of Haiti. So we're gonna watch a piece now on Southcom. What is Southcom? And, Southcom is, you're gonna hear more about it. Yeah, let's stop it for a second.
Oh, I'm sorry.
What's that?
I'm sorry, I'll just help it.
Oh, okay, yeah. So, oh, it does it automatically. So, Southcom is part of a network. I'm actually not gonna say a lot in it, so we're gonna go into the conversation afterwards. I think the video will cover all of it. We'll watch a piece on Southcom.
The police, the prison system, the law. It's no secret that these institutions intentionally crush and terrorize Black and oppressed people within the U.S. The people who fight U.S. military conflicts and colonize Black and brown people
Is often hidden from our view. Even though the US military is the largest and most expensive of any country by far.
We have new, beautiful equipment that comes along with $2.5 trillion in spending all made in the USA.
The US military has literally divided the earth into 11 areas of responsibility, each patrolled by a different command.
The U.S. Southern Command, or Southcom, polices one of these areas of responsibility. The Southcom region covers 15 million miles
And represents about 1/6 of the landmass of the world. Headquartered in Miami, US Southern Command includes 32 countries, 19 in Central and South America, and 13 in the Caribbean.
And that's not to mention 16 U.S. colonies like Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands, which don't have political independence as sovereign states and are not represented in the U.S. government.
Southcom grew out of the US military occupation of Panama in the first decade of 1900. This was when the US government built the Panama Canal to secure trade routes for its elite and business class. It was established during World War II, originally under the name Caribbean Defense Command.
Formalized the government's control over the Caribbean, which had begun decades prior during the Panama invasion. Now, Southcom has at least 4 bases in the region, including Guantanamo Bay, Cuba.
The US military uses its bases in Honduras and El Salvador as access points to reach other strategic locations, such as Nicaragua, Venezuela, and Colombia, and Guatemala.
Joint exercises and military-to-military contact programs between the United States and regional militaries are a major aspect of Southcom's activities.
While Southcom says these military operations promote security cooperation,
We built that team, we built that camaraderie.
build partnerships, and strengthen democratic principles. In reality, Southcom programs have supported dictatorial regimes and militarized governments in the region.
Like that of Papa and Baby Doc, who ruled Haiti in the late 1950s until the mid-1980s.
And the Colombian government, which right now is killing indigenous and African descended human and land rights activists.
These governments do the bidding of the U.S. by economically exploiting their own country for the benefit of U.S. corporations and by squashing popular rebellion.
As natural disasters and political crises, including the US-led war on drugs, escalated in the 1990s, Southcom activity increased.
Good evening. This is the first time since taking the oath of office that I've found an issue was so important, so threatening, that it warranted talking directly with you, the American people. All of us agree that the gravest domestic threat facing our nation today is drugs. Tonight, I'm announcing a strategy that reflects the coordinated, cooperative commitment of all our federal agencies.
Every year, Southcom uses humanitarian assistance exercises and disaster response efforts as military training platforms.
But instead of stemming drug flows and feeding the poor,
Southcom's true goal is to destabilize socialist countries like Cuba, Venezuela, and Nicaragua, as well as disrupt Latin American and Caribbean nations' relationship with Russia, China, and Iran.
The absolute urgency with which we have to maintain our competitive edge in this region, increasingly contested strategic space in the global competition with China and Russia. We do maintain our positional advantage here. However, that advantage is eroding, and it's challenging our ability to maintain the favorable balance of regional power directly called for here in this hemisphere in the National Defense Strategy.
The Black Alliance for Peace stands against the growing influence and power of Southcom and its ever-increasing militarization of the region.
We demand the end of Southcom and call for a zone of peace in Latin America and the Caribbean, in which the people's right to self-determination is realized.
And conflicts between nations are resolved peacefully. No compromise, no retreat.
Yeah, if you just want to have a little bit of discussion about that, any reactions to it, or what you thought, or anything you want to add to it, there's knowledge you have to share about it to add to it.
I knew it. I knew it. That, you know, us black people can't get those drugs in here under no circumstances. We don't have access to resources, nothing. And whatever I whispered over there, drugs came through them too. Before, you know, the dogs came on. And the saddest thing about this whole thing is how I was about to cry. The people, what are we gonna do though? Like, what is our responsibility? How are we gonna help? I mean, we can sit here all day and discuss the thing, but what is the solution? What is our solution at the end of the day? What do you guys think? Like, what can we do? What can we do? What is this meeting about? What can we do?
Yeah, we'll talk it through,
Yeah.
Thank you.
They have George Bush up there and talk about a drug policy, it's like the height of hypocrisy. Because he was the one who popped Manuel Noriega. You're old enough, you can remember this. He's the one that popped Manuel Noriega, and the way that they did it was, they found a vice president, some executive of a U.S. multinational corporation who owned boats, who owned planes, and had entered into an agreement with Manuel Noriega to bring the stuff here.
Yeah.
So they got him to turn state's evidence and get a plea bargain. That's how they got Manuel Noriega.
I remember.
The executive for the multinational corporation, he won. Okay. So,
Yeah, I just wanted to mention at the beginning, it talked about there were not just the South Command, but there were 18 different commands that covered a whole globe. And one of the things Black Alliance for Peace talks about is we have to organize to bring U.S. troops away from everywhere else. And if we're gonna have them, they need to be here, like they could be helping rebuild their bridge in Baltimore. There's a lot of work that if people are gonna be in the military, there's a lot of work that grouping of folks could be put to. But we have to figure out how we, over time, build enough force to bring the troops away from all these different commands that are really just, the United States is just a bully that threatens countries all over the world. And periodically, if the threat don't work, they'll actually, bomb places as well. But, it's the largest military. The other thing is the money that's spent on the military could be used to help provide people's needs here. And that's the other thing. We gotta flip it. But we don't have enough power to flip it at this point. So this power question, I think, is what you're getting at. How do we build enough power to make a difference? Because I mean, we can send food or whatever, but we got to build enough power to really change the system.
I guess I'm hearing what you're saying. I'm like, that sounds great. And I think what I know about
Europeans and what I know, I feel like we've just done too much damage. I feel like even if we would get all our troops back here, we've done too much damage in too many other countries. Now, other countries want to come for us. So I just feel like I love that idea, and I think that in my mind, I'm just mapping it out, and I'm just trying to figure out like how we could do that, but I just feel like I'm thinking about just all the damage we've done. And I feel like even, and even the people that we want to damage with, like the competitors, I feel like they would come after the US. And so that just, to me, doesn't feel realistic. And yet I wish we could get to that place. I think I'm just stuck with the contradiction. Thank you.
Perhaps I would invite us to interrogate our own imaginations of what safety is. Because I think we've been tricked into believing that safety is more weapons, safety is more troops. We have more weapons to destroy the world over 100 times, and yet we still feel threatened. Right, so I feel like in somewhere, where is our notion of what safety is, what is wealth, and that's perhaps for us to reclaim that. Because right now it still is in, do I have more weapons than you do? And I'm always, establishing that there's a threat beyond. But just like in terms of liberation, is there a way to think about freedom without the suppression or oppression of human beings? And I think until we interrogate our own imaginations and our language, we can't even begin to conceptualize what freedom or safety.
I completely agree with that. I feel like the people in this room get that. I'm thinking the people that are the control over the guns, however, I don't know that they have the capacity to think about, to even expand beyond that. And so when I was speaking, I definitely wasn't speaking from here for me of like, oh, we need, but I'm thinking about how they're thinking. And that's why I'm saying I don't think it's gonna happen, not because I'm with you. I would love to do that, but I still think that they have the capacity to do that. And I think that's what, and if we had like Israel, that'd be great, but just by experience on this earth with the people that are in control, who I don't feel like have hearts or souls, like it's hard for me to see how they would even be able to wrap their head around, really putting human beings first.
It's not in their agenda.
Right.
Yeah, I was thinking like,
Oh, right.
like, how do we, as there's a worse place we know?
For sure.
Like, because like I think about, we sell more rings and sell more security. We invite surveillance every day in the name of safety. It's like, what are we doing just as individuals? Okay, let's start with, I wasn't indicting anybody.
Sure.
I just started in the first place, and then.
That's a good idea.
I think one solution is a high level of participation. So I think they already have these structures built. I think it would help if we were more engaged with them. I think the first thing that comes to mind is like they'll block us out. They won't listen to those positions of power. But you see through time, we weren't allowed in college. We weren't allowed into certain businesses. I think we were more engaged and found a way to infiltrate the system and maybe change that direction of what it's doing and find a way to have a more positive impact instead of just trying to work outside the system. I think that's going to be well.
Good job. Yeah, I was just thinking, related to what you were saying, you know, large part of it is that if you don't follow so focused on white supremacy and capitalism, it's like, I feel like that is the starting point about getting rid of that completely and starting from scratch. Because I think that is like, maybe not the biggest issue, but definitely one of the main causes of everything that's going on. So there's no that
No, I would totally agree. And I think it's how you perceive how have these mechanisms been put in place? And I was having a discussion with Jay last time we had a meeting about in 1886, forgive me, indulge me for a second here. In 1886, the U.S. Supreme Court made a decision declaring that corporations were now to be considered a person. And they gave them all the rights of a human being to the law, freedom of speech, due process, okay? Now, the reality is, a corporation is not a corporeal person. Corporation is a legal creation that allows a group of people to act as a single entity in an activity. And a corporation can be many places at once. Okay? And corporations haven't been given that title of corporate person. These corporations now have been able to accumulate enormous wealth and enormous influence. And it allows for preferential access to public policy. And that has been going on since 1886. So the corporations have been calling these shots all along. We can attach that to the United States because many times they are US corporations, but they are also multinational. They are everywhere. So they implement public policy of foreign governments. Okay, they have that kind of influence. Here we go again. Okay, and those are the barriers that have been in place for so long. If you, there's a book, if anyone's ever read it, it's called what, the best democracy money can buy. These corporations pay people on both sides of the aisle. They pay Democrats, they pay Republicans. It don't matter. They're gonna play both because they've got that kind of money and they've got that kind of influence. And those are the things that have been put in place. And when we're talking about trying to address that, that's where I think part of my, I don't want to call it a major frustration, but it's a reality. Like I just was saying, what do we do? Because if I may, one more thing, because I heard something, I hear things on the internet too. Okay, I heard this man talking about what kind of power can we generate. So if we go into a situation where we say, for example, remove all military bases from Africa, is the US military going to move those bases from Africa? No. This man suggested we need to have something where we can add at least 2 words to that statement. Remove US bases from Africa or else. We haven't come up with an or else yet.
Well, I think let's hold that. Thank you. We have a few people, I'm checking in with you.
We want to manage time too, because we're gonna have to get to some collective thinking together, so we don't want to hold it too late. So let's get a couple more comments, then we can get, we have one piece to read, and we're gonna actually do the thinking together.
You sure? Okay, so just to note for staff, you have Mercedes, Lizzie, Kate, and Claire. You sure?
And I can just.
Okay.
I'll be quick, I'll just be really quick, because I think that's really overwhelming and depressing, like, seeing that, it's like you're saying, what the heck? But they lost Korea, they lost Vietnam, like they're in Gaza today. If you're just watching the major news, you see one thing, but they're losing on the ground. I mean, so they're not as, I mean, we can't beat them that way, but we can't think that they're just so overwhelming that we can't fight, because then, like, I'm done, I'm like, just, I'm going to some island somewhere.
Right.
But they didn't leave Vietnam, they couldn't take Cuba for as long as, China's all over Africa right now too, right? I mean, so it's global but they're not as, I mean, they're powerful, they're really powerful, but they're also vulnerable. I think having my eyes on that prize is like really critical for me, or otherwise, you know, they're not always winning.
Is there money? Is the vulnerability is money per se, capitalism, is that what we're saying is part of the problem?
So all of the above. And our commitment to it, right? One of the things, just to kind of bring us back into our process is, you know, we did read a book on how to break up capitalism, just as a, you know, a light touch here, is that's what we want to think about, because I think what's connecting us all is we feel the despair, we feel the grief, we feel the pain that it creates. We know how they ruined our communities with drugs. And what that Fred said is we didn't own no boats, no planes, you know, we don't own that, but we are feeling the experience. And so thinking about how do we continue to build our awareness, because of did you learn something new already today?
Yes.
That means all of our community needs to know more, because there's an intentional ignorance created to keep us in the same condition. So our work collectively is to help us all learn so we can make different choices and do it together so it doesn't feel as difficult. And part of the issue is we will encounter defeat along the way because they have those violences that they use with us. But if we know, and Mama Dominica said it this morning, it's a protracted struggle, right? We have to know that if we keep our eyes on the prize in that way, and we have a perspective and a goal, they actually have, there are so many examples of how our ancestors have defeated. And Haiti is a perfect example. So we have to keep looking to that, and there are sacrifices to be made. So let's continue the conversation, because we do want to build collective power here in this room and go on, and whether Frank's going to talk to you.
We're gonna pass around this piece. This will be the second and last piece we read today, I think. So I'm gonna take this.
Maybe the last thing you read, I think.
Yeah.
Is it one or two?
That's one.
Just one.
Did you have one?
Yeah, I was thinking.
There is also Lucy 1804, the unhidden history of the revolution of Haiti. And it talks about some of the strategies that that the Haitians used to win.
All right, we can get to reading this. I'm gonna follow Rebecca Zayla's lead. I'm gonna read the first, little section paragraph here, and then maybe we can take it. Sorry. I was gonna say, actually, who did we stop off on? Maybe, can we continue, so after I read, Jack, can you pick it up? Yeah, appreciate it. All right, so this was, an article that was released, with that, from that, in August, last August. The Black Alliance for Peace, BAP, condemns in the strongest possible terms Kenya's proposal to lead what amounts to a foreign armed intervention in Haiti.
Kenya is offering to deploy a contingent of 1,000 police officers to help train and assist Haitian police, ostensibly to restore order in the Caribbean Republic. Yet their proposal is nothing more than military occupation by another name. An occupation of Haiti by an African country is not Pan-Africanism, but Western imperialism in that face. By agreeing to send troops into Haiti, the Kenyan government is assisting in undermining the sovereignty and self-determination of Haitian people, while serving the neo-colonial interests of the United States, the core group, and the United Nations.
There is an urgent need for clarity on the issue of occupation in Haiti. As described in a recent statement on Haitian colonialism, Haiti is under ongoing occupation. No call for foreign intervention in Haiti from the administration of appointed Prime Minister Ariel Henry can be considered legitimate because of the Henry administration itself is illegitimate. Can I give it to you?
That being, we, as repeatedly pointed out, that Haiti's crisis is a crisis of imperialism. Haiti's current unpopular and unelected government is propped up only by Haiti's de facto imperial rulers. The unseemly confederacy of the core group countries and organizations, as well as via NUH, the United Nations Integrated Office in Haiti, and a loose alliance of foreign corporations and local elites.
Can we pass it to our friends in that corner?
Henry and the UN have made a mockery of sovereignty by mouthing the slogan, Haitian solutions to Haitian problems, yet finding the only solution in violence through foreign military intervention. After repeated failed attempts to organize an occupying force to protect their interests and impose their will on the Haitian people, including appeals to the multinational organization, the Caribbean Community CARICOM for troops, they have now found a willing accomplice in Kenya, an East African country with its own set of internal problems.
That's Austin Cole, co-coordinator of the BAP, Haiti America's team, argues, at best,
Kenya is allowing itself to be used in a violent line of neo-colonial puppetry that will inevitably result in more death and imperial plunder for the masses of Haitians. At worst, Kenya sees this as an easy opportunity to serve the colonial masters and win favor for political and financial needs. Anything else for that?
Pass, no passes.
Indeed, what's in it for Kenya? An opportunity to both train and enhance the salaries of local police forces and garner a patina of prestige, or at least bootlicking approval from the West. And for Haiti, white blows from a black hand and a further erosion of their sovereignty.
FACT demands that Kenya rescind their proposal to send 1,000 police to Haiti while calling on the Kenyan people to join the Haitian masses and radical voices worldwide in condemning the continued occupation and governance of Haiti by the core group and the UN.
Last purpose of all.
No to occupation, no to foreign intervention, no to black-based imperialism, yes to sovereignty, yes to true pan-African alliance between the people of Haiti and Kenya.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone for reading that together. Appreciate that. And again, like with the last reading, just thoughts, like to open it up for thoughts, reactions to that piece. About the idea of Kenya stepping in and sending troops into Haiti to help police Haiti.
I think they ain't got enough problem.
Yeah.
For real. I mean, I watch a lot of news and world news and stuff. And I mean, they don't really talk much about Kenya and Africa and stuff as they used to. This is real informative. It's really good. I'm learning a lot. I'm glad to.
Thank you, appreciate it.
We have Lily and Jeff and.
Yeah, let's take 2 comments, I think, so we can
Okay.
get in small groups, yeah.
It's mostly if there's an update, it's been several months now since it's written, do we know if anything has happened?
No troops have gone to Haiti from Kenya, and the situation on the ground in Haiti has changed. But also within Kenya, there were Kenyan people who were opposed to their government sending troops anywhere, let alone to Haiti. And there's other issues there.
Well, thank you. Yeah.
No, they didn't go, and right now, Ariel Henry is no longer there. He resigned a few weeks ago. And now there's not a formal government at play. So it is a different kind of situation on the ground right now, where there isn't a formal government. The police have basically been treated. And there's no real formal force that, and I'm going to say that can help manage a different kind of situation. There's lots of different groupings vying for control and power. And regular family folks are caught in the middle, in a sense. That's kind of what's happening.
But would you say the core group is at least claiming it's to be the group of authority in Haiti now?
They're trying to bring the new ones in, whoever they want. Can't find nobody.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, I'll just keep it, this just seems like a really extreme example, another example of how like they are trying to disconnect Black people across the back road. Just again, like turning Kenya against Haiti, it's just, how do you live with yourself, you know? That's good.
I mean, I think it brings up though, that the criticism of neo-colonialism and why I think the argument, at least here, and I would say myself, I would include, and I think the study would probably agree as well. This is why we have to get rid of capitalism and the capitalist class. To integrate into it is what Kenya is doing in situation, or Papa Doc did, or et cetera, that this is how they manipulate. Because of the set of authority that they've got in that situation, we have to get rid of capitalism, essentially, is the big thing. And I don't think our reason for starting the group is that there's not a lot of discussion in the Black community here in Pittsburgh about capitalism need to get rid of it. Like we have a lot of, I think, good-hearted people working on trying to fix small pieces. We're hoping for more conversations about the need to replace it with socialism and talking about that. But we're going to actually transition and get to the question that you raised, which was, but what to do. So, actually, I don't need to go anywhere. We'll sit right here. The Black Alliance for Peace has something called the Zone of Peace. It's a campaign that they're working on right now. Thanks to Becca Dale, who wrote this. Maybe people who are closer might read out what the Zone of Peace is.
Read it, Mark. See, this campaign.
This campaign will be informed by the Black Radical Peace position with its focus on the structures and interests that generate war and state violence, colonization. Is that it?
Colonization,
Yeah, that's it. Patriarchy, capitalism, and all forms of imperialism. The fight for a zone of peace is an attempt to expel all the nefarious forces from our region.
That's great.
What that word mean?
What's that?
Nefarious.
Like evil, nasty, mean. Yeah, exactly. Okay, yeah, the top paragraph says, you want to look at the top paragraph?
Oh, the Black Alliance.
Okay, the Black Alliance for Peace, BAP, along with key partner organizations, is leading an effort to activate the popular movement in our region in support of a community of Latin American and Caribbean states. What's that? CELAC, 2014 call to make the Americas region a zone of peace.
There you go.
Quote unquote.
Yep. So that's the answer to one question is what do we do? We build enough mass power to create a zone of peace across the Americas, and we would have a lot to do about that. But Black Alliance for Peace is working on a campaign to that. And I think what you would even see to the point of being earlier about the Hill District, our own neighborhood, that zone of peace should run right through our own neighborhood. We should be trying to make a connection between the need for peace in our own neighborhood and also the need for peace in Haiti. That we ourselves are in the same kinds of civil wars that have been started, I would say, by the same forces over the same things. So one zone of peace would be one thing that we need to do. We need lots of people to work on. However, BAP is asking for our thinking about this. And so we have like 4 clipboards, I think, over there. And we're wondering if people could get into groups, basically 4 groups here, and kind of say, what strategies and tactics should the Zone of Peace campaign pursue? Who would be the allies? And who would be the opponents? And I think we could think about that right here in Pittsburgh, right? If we were going to have a Zone of Peace campaign and we were going to build that up here in Pittsburgh, what would the strategies be? And I think that the point being raised here is that unfortunately, there's no book on a shelf that we can pull down to these answers. We are going to have to come up with the answers. Unfortunately, we're not going to walk into a room where there's 10 people who know all of what to do. We are going to have to figure that out in our own specific places. So
Where do we start?
What's that?
On our
4
own
groups of 5.
streets.
Exactly. Yeah. So
Exactly.
if we want to count off,
Thank you, sweetie.
that's good. Let's count off.
Where we going?
We're going to count off. Starting with
Mark.
Oh, wait, how long is this?
We're going to be done in 15 minutes now.
Okay. One.
You're like, we start.
Midnight,
man.
3.
How do you want to do it? 1, 2.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
1, 2, 4.
Sweetie,
Oh, no, no,
1.
5, yes. No, 5, this is 5. Yeah, this is 4.
4, 5, 1.
5.
Right?
You're in.
We only have 4 clipboards, so we need 4.
Need 5.
Count to 4, please.
Count to 4, everyone.
You get 4 groups.
Ready? Count. 4.
1,
2. 3.
4.
1.
2,
3,
4,
1.
2.
3.
4.
1, 2.
3.
She didn't even count.
That's 6 groups.
Okay, so 4. So it's 4. 4 groups. Don't forget, Joe. 4's over here.
Let's do 1.
4's over here.
You're here. And I got to know there.
1. Let's go here.
1 over here.
All right.
1 in here.
What am I?
Here about.
I'll take notes. So where do we start? Small part of Pittsburgh. I don't know. Are they? It's nice. It's nice that people really are. Yeah.
I think you're doing the work in or neighborhood with it. But I don't know.
In the African American community, there's no difference. So if we start like with the neighborhood that. Back in the seventies, or in the seventies, we don't have it. So that's what I was saying, is we're gonna start with the community. Exactly.
Say, groups all that I'm working on around, like, local center, that we're doing, housing, start there.
Combination of in the community.
Because our neighborhoods, you are right, we can't definitely, because I know, like,
When you were saying,
It's gonna be very hard.
Some of the resolutions, but how do you mesh the students with the community? Like when Black Studies started, it actually.
T-shirt, but it happens to want to be.
If they had speakers and,
Then,
there was so much community to go see the speakers and you display your work.
And then that comes in.
And also.
Exactly.
That's no more.
And
That, but that was.
like, if you're not, it doesn't matter what you have. And if you have an organization that focuses on certain topics, it's not, right now, the areas that like.
Right.
Those relationships, I think we can have a lot of other traditions.
Right.
Oh, well, yeah, definitely, the organization.
For a long time.
So definitely.
But the ones are, that's what I mean. And because we're already kind of doing things in silence.
So we gotta-
We really need to do what all of this is really all about, all of us.
One of
Wow,
the
she's saying
things
it's
the president
something-
we overcame
That's just like outside.
the herb
This is
doctor.
our law. The amount is like
We
the
work
law
on
of
that.
that. Some people kind of say, well,
Yes,
yeah. What's that about, Miss
Yeah, then there's
Lawrence?
the guy who said, the dinner every year, it's on it, shouldn't they? And now the
Or they don't know how to
director of
start a
election,
conversation
he's
about maybe what is really going on in their community until they see it.
so
They
many.
can do that. You know, you gotta see that. Organized.
Just. Just off, we're talking about. When we're talking about.
You make the turn and then you're. Learning at the clock. There's like the western side.
Just
It's
to.
right up this corner and it says like Latin American studies. They have like, prominent exhibits of the Latin American. We're not sure, but that would be a conversation. Like the summer through fall, they have like, I don't know, might just be, it's a beautiful transition or space that could be a place for like bigger conversations.
And you do some of the high school black students.
A lot of people are understanding that.
And that would be a way of getting. I see it is that they have them, they have, they never did how we organize. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I wrote that was ridiculous.
Yeah, it's on YouTube.
Okay. Also, like the next question about, what's going on the Congo, like, tour phone. It's like, it makes me wanna do the story of that. Rather not be so such a good student. But that's the only way something can stop. Having community outreach program, it's like, it's really.
I was gonna say, I'm sorry.
You go and I go.
I was like, last is so based on.
I'm not really. Those are the main thing I do. I don't chat, I don't run. You know, the education director. How they have an event.
She mentioned having cultural events. The other thing about it is that as I watched it, you know, it was like, remember, but I know it was hard, I mean, it's like one of the worst things.
I think I heard the same thing now. A couple years ago.
Right, and that image of that little boy from Cuba versus Haitians who were trying to get across the border. And they were like, portrayed as dirty and, just unwanted. Light skinned, boy, right?
Figure it out. That, you know, that someone. A lot of
evidence of what's going on.
I think that's another one. Blah, blah, blah. Party, organized.
Oh, man.
What's gonna build out of the cross? Wherever they are, they're trying to get their people to come out of the cross. We need to figure out other people. We need to try to support the solution.
Obviously. And the connections are so strong, we say like, this is already happening, I don't have to.
There's a lot of, you didn't have actually, there's people, how do we help them? And there are a lot of people who are knowing that they are not living in what the package of our parents of our songs who are originally, who are so much so that it's like.
I know.
And also you brought up just like how that's how you try to like suppress workers' rights. It's out there, well, we can pull out.
You know, that's the way I feel about it. We also like identifying people and trying to figure out. Right? That is the driver of economics, you know, from the state. But why? So like
No, appreciate it. Person is, this is rock what's up. I've been to. I don't say that because I'm opposed to what you said. I think what you offer is really valuable, and part of it, I think that especially valuable is the principle that you selected. I think it is important to think about it. So this room is extremely important. And I think it's especially promoting that, we are not necessarily talk about it. Right? One group from one. Yeah, that's what I'm getting from saying. We don't need, and we're not. I love that. No, it's interesting.
What does that mean?
We're not exploiting each other.
You know, that's what I mean.
We're actually helping get
Get rid of.
also.
And it's different from things.
And that's so like, oh,
I need to be able to talk. Like, in my memory, something that happened, there was a tree that people were saving. I think also,
We don't need to see
And so, you know, I like what you're saying, but, we are speaking of, there being outside, like, you know, and then how are we gonna educate them about Haiti and not talking about conditions, right? So I was thinking of having like what do you call it, like a diverse, right? And everybody brings all their different food already. And then you have these little kids here, you know, that board or whatever, and talk about what's gonna be, right? So you come to eat, and then you go and you talk about, you know, what is people, right? So this would be, you know, people from Haiti, people from, Haiti, people from, you know, from all over, just talk about it. And bring your food, and feel like you find somebody, but
I mean, I think people have been going after that, he's in Pittsburgh for a long time, they have people.
So when I had my exchange students, you know, the African Americans, they're not accepted. But later, when they were ready to leave, they would thank them.
Come back in here. Come on, y'all, come on, let's get back to it. Let's come back together. Okay. Let's go in, y'all, let's come bring it in, we're gonna wrap up. So we appreciate it, we don't wanna dissipate and have folks just float off. So we had a good conversation. I appreciate you coming back. Okay, great, so we're not gonna do any report outs, just because our conversations were our conversations. It was good, and we learned from each other and turned into we were. So we just want to wrap up, first of all, by thanking everybody who came out. We really appreciate it. You know, it's really appreciable fun, everything we shared, that you all shared and we shared together. The Pittsburgh Black Socialist Study Group, the group that did this here, meets once a month, every Thursday, and study different kinds of pieces and are, you know, figuring out what else we want to do next, whether that might be emerging out for you all to see. We want to make sure we get everyone's contact information before you go. So hopefully, we could just maybe.
One of those clipboards.
Yeah, let's just circulate one of the clipboards, maybe make sure that we got, if we already have your information, don't worry about it, but if you know we don't, please stop.
Jay, your buddy?
Yeah.
Okay, he has mine.
Oh, good, yeah, so, yeah, exactly. Let's still get it, just to close that loop.
Okay.
If you don't mind. Okay, cool. So we want to say to people, if you want to join the study group, you're welcome to, just let us know. We, like I said, we meet the second Thursday of the month. We meet here, at 6 o'clock, and we read a different piece and discuss it.
A piece on what?
Just on socialism.
We read like black socialists that have written articles, like,
Example?
Okay, like,
Marx, Engels.
no, I would say
sharing the
Oh,
Frederick
here's an example. Like,
Frederick Robinson. Harry Hayward.
like Claudia Jones, here's, let's take one. Let's
They
take,
started with Google.
Yeah.
But that's okay.
No, it's not to say, I heard somebody say.
Oh, no, yeah, no,
That's
no,
unfair.
no, for sure, no.
No.
They shouldn't say that. But here's the thing, but actually, we're learning together. So what we're doing is we're studying, because we are of the view that we should be clear that capitalism is at the root of these issues. And we should stop mincing our words about it. We need to get rid of it. And we need to have plain conversation about it. That's what we're interested in doing. Other people might not want to do that. That's cool. We would like to have conversations about that. So we study people whose purpose and project was that, particularly Black people who did that. So there are people like Harry Haywood, Claudia Jones, W.E.B. Du Bois, Malika Jabali, and we have all the readings that you can read as well. So if you say, hey, email me what you've read, I'd like to see what you've read, we'll send it to you so that you can read it for yourself. And then we come together and we discuss those and we teach one another in the hopes of being able to create a place where maybe some of us would get, yeah, and it's just for Black people. So it's a Black identified group. The idea though is to create enough of a base that we then might create something else, which is an organization that might do other, or formation that does other things. For right now, we're partnering with the Black Alliance for Peace for this, which is the other thing that you could join. The Black Alliance for Peace takes membership. I'm a member, yeah, Dr. Cohen's a member, okay, Frame's a member, Ms. Rowe's a member. So you can join Black Alliance for Peace, and in that, you get access to their listserv, right? You see all kinds of conversations going on. You get access to the events that they do, which are quite a lot. So it's to build up our political education. And so we did this thing on Haiti, which is a reflection of Black Alliance for Peace. 2 or 3 months ago, we did something on AFRICOM. There's a whole other, you have SouthCom and you have AFRICOM. AFRICOM covers the whole continent. SouthCom, I mentioned earlier, when you talked about the overthrow of Aristide, that's done through SouthCom. SouthCom coordinated 1,000 Marines landing on Haiti and then taking the president and telling him he wants to get on a plane and fly to the Congo. So that's done through SouthCom. They organized that mission, sent 1,000 Marines into Haiti, and then just went right to his house and said, "You're coming with us." Put him on a plane, took him out, and the next day through Twitter said, "Your new president is X." So these are things you could both join. So if you'd like to join the study group, please let us know. If you want to join Black Alliance for Peace, please just go to their website. And that's been our event, and we're going to be doing other things. But I'll just throw it out to anyone else who thinks that we need to close with any other information.
Yeah, I just want to mention Black Alliance for Peace is doing days of action around Haiti. We're doing this group here. There are groups like us meeting in other parts all over the country and even in other parts of the world. Right now, this week, March 28th was the main date, but
So Black
other
Lives for
activities
Peace
coming.
is national?
International.
International, okay.
Yeah. And they've actually asked for actions the last Thursday of the month through May. So if we can mobilize ourselves, you'll see us again in April doing something different, something again in May. And we'll reach back out to you. But the idea is to continue to build the movement and the awareness of this, and then also then use it for what we else think we need to do.
Are we gonna go over what we, did in the groups?
We're not gonna do that, but we'll email that out to people, just because we've been here 2 hours and we wanna make sure people are like, hey, I would like to go, but those things are really long. So, but we, you know, there was great pieces of what we had in our group, and we'll put them together and we'll email them out to folks. Is that cool?
I have one more thing, when we do reach out, maybe to that email, if you have any feedback about how this session went.
Let's do this, let's do that.
Yeah, if you have any feedback about how that session went, if you could just shoot it back at that email and just say, hey, you know, you really liked it, yeah, hey, you know, I really like this session. If there's something about it that maybe you wish it had been done a little differently, so that when we come out and try to do this again, we can continuously improve as we learn about what's going on with Black people around the globe. We also want to learn more how to relay that information and how to create spaces to talk about these things and learn together. So any feedback is going to be greatly appreciated, especially as long as it's very, constructive.
I jumped in front of Branch. I don't know if you want to do it now or not. I jumped in front of you, because that was on our agenda.
I think it's okay. I think, we've been here again. We're a little over time.
Okay.
Want to let folks go. So please, if you have any feedback, you can talk to one of us after or, shoot an email, over.
Yeah.
That'd be appreciated.
And I'll just say, extend deep gratitude to everyone for coming out, and in order for us to keep building on your point of what we can do is tell someone about something that you learned today. Invite, invite a conversation about the connections to your own experience and thinking about, really encouraging people to think, hey, is this how you want it to stay, or do you want it to change? So asking questions, having conversations, taking this outside and engaging people with it, I think is something that we can all do. Because I know sometimes we feel stuck in feeling powerless, but we're not powerless. And this room, us doing this work and building forward is how we get to, build our power. So that's ultimately something I just want us to keep doing it outside of this.
Yeah.
And imagine something different. Really imagine.
Yes. No, but I didn't know what this was. And I can't wait to see you there. I'm sorry. I had I got a lot of information.